Hello. So today I was gonna rank my Pat McGrath Mothership palettes for you because if you hear that, it's the cat. She has trouble breathing and she's like, bless you. So I wanted to rank my Mothership palettes for you today, obviously Pat McGrath, because I often receive, obviously you guys know that I did the eye looks for Pat for a very long time, about 3 years or so. So I have a lot of experience with the palettes, and I often receive questions about like what palette I would recommend the most. So that's what we're doing. Obviously she's got a lot of palettes, so I'm focusing on just the Motherships today. I've got them all laid out. I literally had to sticky note them because it's so hard to keep track. So I guess I'll start with my last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? There's 7. So we're gonna work our way from like my least favorite to my most favorite. The one that I would put in last place is Mothership I. And the reason for that, literally had to sticky note it. The reason for that is because the matte shades are just like a little too cool toned for me. And I don't love the shimmer like combos, I guess. Like obviously these 4 up here are really beautiful. Like they're stunning. The formulas are beautiful. We already know that. It's Pat McGrath. They're beautiful shadows. But personally, when I look at this palette, it doesn't like the blue is the one, the blue and this one are like, I'm looking at that and I'm like, oh, I want to put those all over my eyes, but not necessarily with these mattes. And then when it comes to the other shimmers, I'm just a little bit bored by them. Particularly this guy. It's kind of like a satiny finish and it just kind of looks exactly like this shade to me. And then same with this, it just doesn't really like appeal to me. It's a beautiful palette, obviously, like all of these are beautiful, but just aesthetically, it doesn't, the only thing that really pops is this blue, and the blue is absolutely stunning. If I had to rank it, I think it would be last. I already know what my top 3 are. So now it's like trying to weed out the bottom 3. The next one, I guess, would be the Mothership III palette. And I really love like select shades in here, but the reason for that is because there is no good transition shade in this palette. Like this is actually quite dark, especially for fair skin. So if you're like medium to deep skin, you probably don't have to worry too much, but that's like, I mean, pretty dark for me to use as like a transition shade. So it doesn't really work. So it's a little bit limiting. The foil colors are really beautiful. Like these are just the duochrome. They're beautiful, you know? Once again, they're stunning formulas. I love this gold is very unique. It's kind of like a almost rusty. All of the duochrome shades are stunning. I love the formulas of, that didn't really come off great. It's kind of old. They're great, but I just, once again, like this shade, and then the mattes are just a little bit boring to me, you know? And then as far as purple goes, like once again, when I look at it, it doesn't look like shades that I like want to use together, you know? Like it doesn't, I don't look at it and I'm like, oh my God. Separately, when I look at the shadows, I think that they're beautiful, but all together, I'm like, ugh, I kind of just don't like looking at it, you know? So Mothership III. Next up might be kind of surprising, actually. So a lot of people love this palette and I'm like, not a big fan. The only reason that it isn't below that last one is because it does have decent like transition shades. And this is Divine Rose. I don't know what it is about this palette. Like, once again, there's always these like the top 4 that they're beautiful. Like this is very similar to the highlight that she sells, the like duochrome trio, highlight trio, the like pink shade. It's very similar to that. This, obviously, beautiful. Gold speaks for itself. This is like on fire, beautiful. I just don't resonate with these like mauve-y shades. I just don't. They're not my kind of thing at all. This shade right here is like fine. It kind of bores me a little bit. Yeah, I'm just a little like, I don't know, once again, they're beautiful. You guys have seen the looks that I've created with them, but it just doesn't jump out to me. Now, if these colors do jump out to you, like if they work with your skin tone beautifully, if you like resonate with this, and I know a lot of you did because I received so many requests for tutorials with this palette, and I don't think I've even done one. It's very visually pleasing. Like I think this is a lot more cohesive, and if you're someone who has a hard time like pairing certain shades together, and these kind of undertones work for you, then this is a great option. You do have a lot of options. You've got like all the formulas, great transitions. Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful palette. It's just, it doesn't resonate very much with me, you know? So yeah, it's not my fave. This is number 3, or number 5. So next is Mothership II. And it hurts me to say this simply because that green is divine. Absolutely divine. I love it. Once again, always these like top shadows are just stunning. You can see that there's like quite a bit of overlap with these palettes. Like she tends to put a lot of the same shades or similar shades in palettes, which can make it a little bit difficult. It's these 6 that kind of don't jump out to me. Once again, the problem with like the Divine Rose, I'm not into these like mauvey shades, or mauve, or however you say it. I'm just not really into it. That classic color that you see often in her palettes, same with this, obviously the black, they're just kind of like same old, you know? Like they don't necessarily speak to me. This green is really what makes this palette like stand out, and these are all really, really beautiful. So I think I would have to rank it, what number are we at? 4, I guess? 4? Yeah, number 4. Still beautiful though. God, that green is really stunning though. All right, so number 3, the one I would rank number third is Mothership IV, which is the, I believe, just Decadence palette. I think it's just called Decadence, but it's the all foiled palette. I really like the next 2, which is why this is 3rd. This is just like, it's a beautiful palette. I have really no complaints about it other than the fact that like it obviously is meant to be all shimmers. It doesn't have any mattes. So this is just a palette that's like, you got your own matte shadows, okay? You want to do whatever look with those. These are the statement shadows. That's why you would buy this one, is like, this is the like statement shadow that I want to put all over my lid, and I want it to be like foiled and just like beaming, you know? Yeah, so I mean, there's really not that much to say about it. It's stunning. I love all of the shades, with the exception of this one for some reason. Lapis Luxury, I believe is what it's called. And I always have a really hard time capturing the actual color. It's very unique, but I don't know if it necessarily like works very well on my skin tone. But all of the other shades are absolutely stunning. This one right here is this like beautiful coppery red color. Just, there's like a, you know, this like warm, fiery overtone with this like deep rust burnt red. It's stunning. And of course, all of the formulas are really beautiful. So if you're looking for just like a single foil palette, I mean, this is the one to go with, you know what I mean? But so this is number 3, ranked 3rd. Number 2, M6. Don't know what it's called. I'll have them all linked down below. Here's what I love about this palette. I think, well, first of all, you can tell from what I'm wearing right now, and I'm not wearing Pat McGrath shadows, that I love warm tones. And I think that's what I love about this, is that the 3 mattes that she chose for this palette provide a lot of options. Like you have a nice transition shade, you have an option to go in a more red direction or keep it a little bit more cool toned when you deepen it up, you know? You have a nice, like the classic little highlight shade, the classic, like, this is just like a classic color right here. Beautiful, like shimmery, earthy kind of green. And then the top foils are really beautiful. And I actually really love the fact that she included this purpley shade, which isn't my favorite, but it gives it, I have a hair on my lip. It prevents this palette from being just a warm toned palette, you know? Sort of similar to, I don't know, it's a really great fall palette, you know? It's got all the warm tones, but it's also got like little pops here to get a little bit more creative. And because it includes the matte shades, bless you, it is a little easier to, I don't know, kind of like figure out which direction to go in. But yeah, I think it's really beautiful. And honestly, I think that the reason that it's my number 2 is because of this shade right here and this shade right here. They're just stunningly beautiful. I absolutely love them. Yeah, and I just like the versatility. I feel like there's a lot of options. You can create so many different looks with this palette. And I also appreciate that this is a very, 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 very dark, cool toned brown and not a black. I don't know, it's just different, you know? So that's my number 2, and that is Mothership VI. And then the winner of them all. And this is the one that I recommend to everyone. Whenever people ask me what is the Mothership palette that I should get, it's M5. I had to look just in case. This is a fresh one, never touched. Although I have used this palette quite a bit, but I wasn't allowed to show you the other one because it was a lab sample. But this is perfect in every way. Literally perfect. I don't think there's a single shade in this palette that I would get rid of. It's stunning. It has warm, cool, there's so much nuance in it. Every single shadow is perfection. You've got your classic highlight, like brow bone, inner corner, whatever, it's a little bit more soft. You have this like almost deep eggplant matte, which is so unique in these kinds of palettes. It's not just a dark brown, it's got kind of like almost purpley in it. And it builds up beautifully, like it really, really, really deepens. You have a really nice transition shade for a lot of people. Trust me, you can blend this really nicely. If you're ridiculously fair, it's not going to be like too dark. Just go in with a light hand. This formula right here, or this shade right here, is this really nice cool toned, like unique kind of brassy shade. And then you get a lot more coppery, warm toned with this one. Obviously a deeper matte, beautiful. I love the tones of these. They're not too cool toned, they're not too warm. I mean, I love these so much. And what I like about this one is that it's still got that like fire in it, but it almost has a little bit more of a silvery reflect as well. So it's a little bit more versatile. The red is perfection. You guys have seen me do tutorials with this palette, and I know that you're always asking for tutorials with this palette because it's just like bomb. And then these two duochromes, like this reminds me, this honestly would make a really excellent like Christmas gift if you know someone who's a makeup lover and they don't really want to spend like 100 and however much, 125, is that how much they typically are? Trust me, I'm lucky that I worked with her and I have all these palettes because this shit's expensive. But if you were going to invest in one and you like these kinds of tones, number 1, this is the one that I would recommend. It is flawless. She nailed it with Mothership V. Not a single shade that I would remove. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I like don't even want to use this one just because it looks so perfect. All right, guys, so that is it. Those are my Mothership palettes ranked. So if you were having a hard time trying to figure out like which one you wanted to get, hopefully this helps a little bit. Just like, I don't know, maybe delineate between like whether you want to go cool toned or what the pros and cons of each palette are. If you want to see more like Pat McGrath ranked, you can let me know. I do have like the little guys too, but obviously Mothership is the main, and yeah, I guess that's it. So next time.